All right, everybody, what's up? We're back. I think it's episode 9, so time's flying already. But this is going to be a fun one. We've got two of, I think, all of our collective kind of friends on. We've got Wyatt Keil, and Parker Gibbons on today. We were actually at least me, Jack, Wyatt, and Parker were all together like 3 days ago over the weekend. So we're going to talk a little bit about that kind of adventure we were out on. But it's just going to be kind of a casual conversation today, just about all the stuff we've been up to. And yeah, a lot of adventure stuff and hearing from all of us. So I guess we can let's go to the new guys just to give a little intro and talk about themselves a little. I guess we can start, whoever wants to go.
Yeah, I'll go. My name is Wyatt Keil. I'm an aspiring herpetologist from Delaware. I'm 19 years old. I'm a really big turtle person. I really like turtles, and I'm currently a senior in high school.
And I'm Parker Gibbons. I live in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm doing a herp survey at a preserve near me. 19 years old, and I've been doing herp stuff my entire life.
Yeah, so this is a fun one too, because I forgot to mention, but we're all kind of similar age range too. So this is going to be fun. And like I said, we all kind of know each other. I got to plug real quick before we get into the discussion, everything. As I said at the end of the last episode, we've partnered with the Turtle Room. They're generously supporting us through their podcasting platform. We're going to be setting up a donation box shortly here. I don't know. Ken's kind of on that. But we'll deal with that. We're going to set up a donation box to start a CheloniaCast student fund where we'll allocate certain funds, hopefully once we kind of get some money in there, to different research projects for different students, mostly kind of in the college, but potentially pre-college level. So that's kind of what's upcoming. But we're super happy the Turtle Room kind of is helping with this and really grateful. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of just what we got to get out of there. But I guess we could start off with like I said, we were all kind of together last week, and that was a pretty wild week. We all kind of this is not the first time we've done that. I think it's the first time we've all been together doing it, but we were at the Santa Fe River Turtle Project out on the Santa Fe River. They do work on all these different springs out there, looking at the turtle kind of community ecology. And it's a really fun time, but it's pretty hectic. We were out there, so we all kind of come in different routes. I flew in from California. That's a full day trip. And Jack and Wyatt drove down. That sounds like that was a process.
Yeah, it was rough. I had to freaking we had to go on I-95 most of the way, but if you're on the interstate for like 8 to 10 hours or more, it starts to just wear you down. I mean, luckily I wasn't doing most of the driving. That was my dad, so he kind of carried that. But even he started to wear out towards the end of each way because we didn't get off it was pretty much we get on the interstates and we're there the whole way down. So there's other routes we would take in the past, which are better. Once we get about 2 hours from home, we can split off the interstate and take like quieter back roads that aren't as busy and loud. But yeah, getting down there each day was pretty grueling. And then like there wasn't really any rest. You just get there and boom, the next thing you know, you're in the first day, then the second day, and then we're driving back. So we were just like all over the place for 4 days straight and pretty much been all wiped out this whole week.
When did y'all get up?
It was 100% worth it. It was awesome.
What time did you guys get up and get there? Just to give people an idea.
All right. So the first day of the survey, or the first day we drove down, I had about 3 hours of sleep that night. So did my dad. And I think Wyatt and my sister got a little bit better sleep than us. And then we get in the car at like 4 a.m. And keeping in mind, we got like no sleep. And then we drive for like 16 hours straight. And I didn't really sleep during the drive. I can't sleep in cars well at all. And my dad obviously didn't sleep as he was driving. So by the time we got down to Florida, we were just absolutely wiped out. And when we got probably 7 hours of sleep that night which was pretty good. Then we got up and went to the survey. So it was pretty good from there.
Yeah, we didn't even get into Florida until like 8 though, when we left at 3 a.m. So
yeah, someone on about halfway down, freaking like a whole swimming pool had crashed off of 95, and like so it was all.
Who was
blocked up
driving
for
a
while.
swimming pool?
I don't know. It was one of those oversized loads where like they
Oh yeah.
had like the case for us. It took up like more than 2 lanes. So I don't know how he was legally transporting that, and apparently didn't work because it was flipped over like in the bushes with several trucks wrecked by it. So.
Parker, you saw something interesting too. I saw in your story.
Yeah, on my way back, and it was right after I crossed the border from Florida into South Georgia, and there's a pickup truck on the side of the road on fire. And I got up and started taking a video of it, and about 30 seconds into the video, it exploded.
Are you serious?
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, I can send you the video. It's pretty crazy.
That's insane.
That's terrible, but that's interesting to see.
Everybody was okay though, so
Well,
nobody
that's
got
good.
hurt or anything. So.
I'm trying to think of crazy stuff I've seen on the roads out here in California. It's not, I don't know, it's generally not as eventful. We don't get we get roadkill, but it's always rabbits and stuff. But I've seen some cars on fire and stuff out in the desert. Actually, the craziest one probably was, this was a long time ago, at least 10 years ago, but we were driving. You drive from where I live to Arizona is about 6 hours. And in the middle of the desert out there on the 10 where the 10 freeway starts, the 10 freeway ends in Jacksonville. And we flew into Jacksonville to get to the project. So we were I've been on both ends of that freeway. I guess interstate, but on the way to Arizona, about midway through the trip, it's just pure desert out there. There's nothing around. We drove straight through a fire, literally on both sides of the highway, like right at the edge of the highway. It was just completely in flames. Super dangerous. You're not supposed to do that for a lot of reasons. It can mess up the car. Obviously, if the engine overheated or something, you're stuck there and you can't really do anything about it. But I just remember that. That's probably the craziest thing I've had on the highway experience-wise. But, yeah, how far is the drive for you, Parker, from South Carolina?
Well, it's like a 5-hour drive, but I made it a 7-hour drive because I went to the Okefenokee and then went to Osceola and then to the Santa Fe. But yeah, it's usually, if I stayed on interstates the whole way, it would be a 5-hour drive.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, no, I mean, I guess my experience getting down to everyone's kind of told that, getting down to the survey, we always fly because driving from where I live would be pretty challenging to do. But, I have a really bad experience flying in most cases because stuff gets delayed and everything, and trying to make it in a day is pretty hard. Like when we went out to Madagascar, that was the scariest flight. I mean, it was about 10 flights to get to Madagascar over the course of 3 days of traveling. But this, that was my first experience with getting a ton of stuff got canceled and it messed everything up. We had to deal with that. But on the way to the Santa Fe project last week, we had kind of a scare because we flew into the Houston airport and we were trying to go to Orlando. We were going to drive up. It's like 2 hours from Orlando to get to Gainesville. And we got to Houston and we noticed the flight to Orlando got pushed back by 2 hours. I always get worried when it's pushed back by that long because then you start to think, and it was already kind of late in the afternoon. If it gets pushed back too long, they just cancel the flight. And then maybe an hour later, we got lunch, came back, and it got pushed back another hour. And just with my experience, I said, there's no way this flight's taken off. It's pushed back to 8 o'clock. If it gets pushed back again, they're going to cancel it. And we had to really kind of rush and figure out how to switch. So we switched to Jacksonville. But yeah, right when we were getting on the flight to Jacksonville, the Orlando flight got canceled. So almost didn't make it. But yeah, that was kind of a fun experience. But we all got there. I guess we all kind of had stuff to deal with. Wyatt had that drive. We had the crazy flights. But then when we did get there, it's always worth it. I mean, that is just an amazing project. I guess you just kind of hit the ground running. We drive up there. You get a little briefing from Dr. Jerry Johnston, who's kind of the lead of that, and then you kind of just hit the water.
Yeah.
I've done that twice. I know Jack and Wyatt have done it, or Wyatt's first time, right? What did you expect versus kind of how did it turn out? What was that?
I mean, honestly, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I've been trying think like what 2 years now, and I just kind of been whacked out of it every time. The first time we were supposed to go was when we had that trip back in July, and it got flooded out, so we couldn't really snorkel. And then I was supposed to go and attend the fall survey, but I had some health problems pertaining to a heart condition that popped up, and I had to miss it for that. But I finally got to go this time, and I mean, it was like, I don't really know what I expected. I expected to kind of show up, but I didn't expect it to be as relaxed as it was at the same time, because it was pretty relaxed when we got there. I really thought it'd be a lot more official and strict, but everybody was pretty much college. A lot of the snorkelers were college kids, and a lot of the people at the processing site were older, but everybody was just really nice, and it was such a warm environment. I didn't really expect that. It was just really easy for me to talk to people, and that's normally pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I expected. I don't know. I saw what you were like before it happened, and I was like, yeah, I think he's going to do pretty well here. So I've done it several times. It is a bummer we didn't get any alligator snapping turtles, but other than that, it was very successful. So
it was the biggest yield, like individuals wise, was it?
Yep.
Yeah,
ever,
they broke the record.
So in like 20 years. I don't know the specifics, but I know it's about 20 years.
Yeah, that's a cool thing about that. Because due to COVID, they pushed back this particular survey to September last year. And that one last year was crazy. I mean, I guess to give people an idea, I'd say like 30, 40 people probably. I could be off, but there's a good deal of people that show up, and most of them in Florida, but some people out of state. I mean, this time there are people there from Washington, and then all of us from all around. There could have been some other people too, but yeah, it's a good deal of people out there, and there's two different teams. So you've got the North American Freshwater Turtle Research Group is where Parker was at, and then the Santa Fe River Turtle Project team, and the spring the spring/river. Most Florida springs are pretty short, less than a mile, a lot of them. But this one's, I mean, at least 6 miles, and then where it meets the Santa Fe, and pretty close to the confluence with the Suwannee River. But it's so big. I mean, we're surveying a good, I'd say about 4 miles of it. So you got to split it up by teams, and each team has got maybe 10 to 12 snorkelers in it. So there's about 20 people in the water. And over the course of 2 days, we got over 1,200 turtles. That's 1,200, which is, I mean, that's just crazy to think about that for the amount of people we've got. Parker, well, me, Jack, Wyatt, we all went with the Santa Fe project, but I haven't actually done the upper spring. So we take the lower portion of this spring, and the NAFTA group takes the upper portion. What was that like, Parker?
Well, so this was my 4th spring, and it was so different than all the other ones. All the other ones had a boil and a pretty short run. This one's the head spring and then a river. And you're in that river the whole time. Once you get in, you can't get out. And I don't know, it was awesome working down the river with 12 people at a time, just turtle after turtle after turtle. Compared to the other springs, there's just a very high abundance of turtles in that spring. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
were there any like highlights for you guys, like any turtles that stuck out? Or
I think for me, it was definitely getting my first really big loggerhead, or it was either getting my first really big loggerhead, because I remember catching this one female, and she was really, really big, and she had this fat head, really expanded plates, and her shell was really dark in color, and oh my God. Catching that thing in the water, it was crazy. She was like the size of a small box turtle, which is crazy because I'm so used to catching odoratus, which are a lot smaller in comparison. And I think it was either that or it was wrangling my first cooter, like the first like really big cooter I found. Guys,
It's always fun.
yeah.
To me, since last time I was there, we had a higher diversity of species that was actually caught. So this time we didn't have the alligators, the Swanee alligator snapping turtles, which I was determined to find the whole time. That was what I was looking for most of the time. That's why I found so many musk turtles, because I was on the bottom just looking in every crevice that would suit an alligator snapping turtle. But a lot of that is just luck. They're in such low density in there. You just got to be in the right place at the right time. But yeah, I mean, personally, I might have caught more loggerheads than a lot of other people there, because I was just combing the bottom the whole time. Everyone would go stir up all this dust to jump on the logs to catch cooters, but I'm like, I just would go under them or go down to the bottom and wait for them to go into their logs or anything, because there's not really anywhere they can go that you can't see them, and that's unusual for an aquatic habitat. So I just took it slow and learned a lot this time of how to not kick up a lot of silt and disturb the riverbed while at the same time maximizing your turtles you can catch.
I guess that was the point I was trying to make earlier. I went on a tangent there, but when we did it in September, we found 10 species versus this time, I think it was the final species count was 5, but the numbers were higher. So there was a little bit of a trade-off there. But yeah, this time, like you said, I think it was a lot more silty, and the water compared, it was kind of fun doing one in September and then doing one in March, doing 2 different surveys, because you could kind of compare.
You can compare how the health of the river is at different times.
Yeah. And, the floodplain was a lot lower, and I think that was kind of concentrating the current to the main channel, and that was stirring up a lot of sediment. So, the one area where when I was there in September, in the first 10 minutes, I got to flex this a little bit, but I got the alligator snapping turtle female. But where she was normally, you couldn't see any of it. It was it was pretty turbid there. And, there was an alligator too. I was really excited to get there and go look, and I turn around and I see maybe a 4-foot alligator swim into the turbid water. And I'm thinking, that's not really 4-foot alligator's not something really to worry about, but I'm not going to go in there when I can't see it. So
I wish I was able to comb this one section where it looked like a floating island, but it was really just floating vegetation. It was about 60 feet in diameter, and underneath it was just, you could see right through it, but it was this massive black mass. And I'm like, oh my God, there's got to be one in here. And I just couldn't get a good view of it, and we had to move down river. And I went under it, but my mask got ripped off by a log. So I had my eyes open, underwater, no face off, and all I can see, I'm still probably 30 feet from where I can actually come up and get a breath. So I just hold the mask, and I'm like, I'm going to swim towards the light and hope for the best. And I got out and had to haul out on a log for a second there, but I eventually came to terms. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to search this without several people and getting lights and just disrupting the flow. But I honestly think that same patch of vegetation, there's a couple photos floating around out there of what looks to be a fairly large male Swaniensis from that spring. And I think that's the site that it was taken. It looks just like it, underneath this floating vegetation. There's not anything on the bottom. I'm like, I think that's where that male was hiding out, and I just couldn't see it this time. So the silt I think the silt may have affected the capture rates for macrokellies, but
yeah. That patch of vegetation was really rough to get, because I tried getting in there as well. I didn't even think about the alligator snapping turtle. I was just going after the cooters that were under the thing, because there were a bunch. And Chris, but
Chris,
I tried doing that too, and my snorkel got ripped off while I was trying to catch this one cooter, and it was like a sense of panic. It was really rough because it was really dark. I couldn't see anything, and the only way I could get a breath was sticking my face out of the water lettuce, and that was the worst. So Chris ended up finding my snorkel, which was really good, but I didn't want to go back in there and try my luck again after that.
Yeah. You want to say something, Michael?
I was just going to say, I know exactly what mat of algae you're talking about. That was actually, you went in there. I was right behind you. it's hard to explain kind of the dynamic of how this works for people that haven't snorkeled with a group in springs, but you can see people as you're going down there, and you know where people are, and occasionally they grab your leg and you get freaked out for a second. But I know that mat of vegetation, and Jack was going in there. That was a little bit past. It got a little bit more clear where you went in, but that was right near where the alligator was, and where I'd seen that female snapping turtle before. But yeah, once it kind of cleared up, you went in there and I saw you kind of screwing around. The good part for you is you can really kind of muscle your way out of certain situations
Yeah, I got caught under a couple trees that I didn't think I would be able to pull out of, and I managed to break one of them to get off. I try not to damage the environment when going through, but I got caught under this root mass, and I'm like, all right, so all this freaking rowing and crap I've been doing at the gym better help me like rip this, like break it over to my head so I could get out. But
habitat destruction.
yeah, I try not to do that. So just as a disclaimer, that's probably the only thing I freaking damaged in that river was a freaking stick. But I was determined to search that amount of vegetation. I bet if it after I tried to get ahead of the group because there's a cloud of silt that's always right behind the group because you kick it all up and then it floats in the water for a while and it obscures your visibility. So since I'm on the bottom the whole time, I don't know. I'm not very good at jumping out of the water and catching cooters. I have a hole in my wetsuit from when I tried to do that, and I got Charlie horses, so I just wait on the bottom or a little bit more of an ambush predator, I guess. But I mean, picking through the bottom, I hope I get a snapper at some point, but you learn it more as you go on. The first time I did it, I didn't have much of an idea of what I was doing, and I didn't really know where to look for anything. But pretty quickly you start developing your own techniques to find the turtles. People will tell you something, but when you're in the water and you see everything yourself, you find ways to do it. So I developed methods to look for the musk turtles. I'm looking for roughly golf ball sized pebbles that are grayish in coloration and have white spots on them because the biggest, oldest ones have really large, really enlarged heads with hypertrophied beaks that have that are really damaged from feeding on snails so much. They have all this white keratin you can see easily. So when I started looking for that, next thing you know, I'm pulling out dozens of them for the crew. So
this particular area is crystal clear water too. I mean, I couldn't tell you the exact visibility, but it's easily 50 plus feet. If you were to measure, I'm sure more in some places, but it was, we drop, I think we do about maybe 2 miles. So it's a good deal, but we get dropped at kind of a section and then we just kind of swim downriver, and the current's no joke. I mean, that current will carry you. Wyatt got a good video on the GoPro and he was swimming and it looks like he's in a wind tunnel going down there. I mean, he's got some speed. But yeah, that was kind of a fun part, but it's tough sometimes to gauge where the group is at because sometimes you'll get floating so fast that you're like, I got to wait because I'm getting separated. But so I'm curious what Parker's experience with this was, but we have someone, so we got the canoes and there's someone in the canoes that I think was actually a retired drill sergeant. And so she keeps us in line. There's no way we're getting when that alligator was there, she made it clear that alligator was moving in the water. And it's great because no one's getting lost because she's got us covered there. But it was it gets heated sometimes because she's in the canoe, so she can see where the boundaries where we're supposed to be at. And sometimes if someone gets a turtle that's a little bit outside in the floodplain zone, that gets a little heated. I know why it. But Parker, do you guys with the TSA group, do y'all have canoes
Yeah, so there were 5 or 6 canoes. You catch a turtle, you swim it to the canoe, and every 100 yards or so, maybe a little farther than that, we would stop, everybody would gather up, and then all the turtles would get put in one canoe. I guess it was at the end of each section, so there's 3 sections on our 2-mile stretch, and all the turtles from each section get put in one canoe and then sent to the processing site, and they do that to not mix up which turtles are coming from which sections. And then once they do that, go again and meet up at the end again. So.
But you guys don't. You guys just have kind of quiet, passive canoers. Not anyone shouting
A
out.
little bit. There was one person who would yell "snorkeler" every time you would go a little farther than you were supposed to.
All right,
So,
all right.
Yeah, you told me about that. I remember.
Yeah, I got shouted at a couple times, but it's all right.
What? I'm curious what the habitat's like at the kind of the where you guys go compared to where we're at. Like, is it?
Lots of eelgrass. I'm not sure if it's the same where y'all are, but majority of it is eelgrass, and then the water lettuce on the top.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty
Pretty
different.
much how
I was gonna say that's pretty different from the part we survey. Like the farther down you go, especially when you hit the confluence of a couple other actual springs on the side of the river, it starts to there's not as much eelgrass and it's mostly rock on the bottom or like shorter vegetation. I'm not an expert on that. And then it just gets really steep rock ledges going up the sides of the river. Like there's a couple portions where they're way above the water and there's these underwater cliffs that go deep under. And I mean, from the upper part looks different because there's so much eelgrass. I don't know. I tend to find a lot more musk turtles and smaller turtles in the areas that are like rockier and shallower. I think that seems to benefit. It's easier to find them there where they're not going to duck into the grass. Plus, they seem to prefer those areas where the snails are more abundant.
what Parker saw was pretty much how the beginning of where we dropped in was, though. At the very beginning, near where Michael found the female alligator snapping turtle last time, it was mostly just eelgrass, and I feel like that's where you found a lot of the cooters that were underwater and not basking, hiding in those patches of eelgrass.
Yeah,
Because that's where I caught a lot of my first turtles, which were cooters.
I'd say with the cooters, another thing, when they go underwater too, they'll go hide in the same places that alligator snapping turtles and like Calydra tend to really stay more of. So most of the cooters I caught a good amount of cooters, but it wasn't because I was chasing them. I was looking under the rock ledges and I would come across a group of them looking like some kind of refugees in a war where because they know where we are and they're waiting for us to pass. And I'm like, no, I got you. Everybody on the surface you may have evaded them, but they're not even what I was looking for. So sometimes I'll be like, crap, I caught these cooters. Now I have to go all the way to the kayak, drop them in, and then I have to get back to this section to look for the alligator snappers. So,
Well, no, that's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because there were points where I was looking for musk turtles and I'd look under a log and there'd be like 3 cooters just kind of anxiously looking at me. Like you could feel the anxiety in the turtles. It was really funny because they look so dorky the way they start to turn around to swim off, and then you just kind of snatch them all up. And especially when I'm like 5'8" and 115 pounds, I'm holding this massive Swanee cooter like a baby, and I have 2 of them in each arms like twins. It was just a really funny sight for me.
And we should probably put this in. I can definitely relate to all that for sure. But this is it's a research project too. So most people, you don't want to go in there and mess with any turtles, but so this is a large research project that's been ongoing for a good deal of time, at least over a decade. I'm not sure exactly how many years, but we're permitted. So when we're in there, we're under the permits that this group has to get these turtles and to temporarily remove them. Temporarily meaning for at max a few hours, where we take them back and give them individual marks in different ways so we can track them over time. Ultimately, this is important for a lot of reasons, because the turtles, there's a lot of species working here that live in this particular area, and they all kind of have unique ecologies. And so tracking them over time gives us an idea of how the turtle population is changing, if the population is growing, if it's shrinking, and kind of gives us an idea of how the overall ecosystem health there is at that site. So we're kind of using these turtles as a barometer for ecosystem health. And we are, obviously working kind of under permits for this. So this isn't something that we're just going in there and doing this. I think a lot of people listening to this probably know, but I think we just need to clear that to make that clear. We're not just going in there and like I said, it's not turtle Pokemon. This is research. So not to say it doesn't get a little heated sometimes and people want to get the most turtles or they want to get the most species. And I think that's good if you're trying to get as many as possible.
Definitely
But,
a little competitive aspect to it, but
sometimes, yeah.
It's to the turtle catching part, not necessarily to the data collecting process, and that's a whole different thing. So,
and this particular project too, in September we were there till midnight. We started snorkeling at about 10, and we were there by 8:30 in the morning, and we left at midnight. This time I think we only went to about 9 at night. We got to light these tiki torches and we put them all around, and you got people in there working with the turtles, and you got to have a pretty tight kind of system going because we're dealing with the turtles and taking measurements and giving them individual kind of IDs that we can, when we get them again, you can use this data to kind of figure out different aspects of how many turtles are surviving in the population, how is the population growing, how fast, that kind of thing. So, we got to set up that too. When we're done snorkeling, we all get in and start doing all that stuff. And I think we were all pretty immersed in it, and it's pretty wild. I mean, it's hectic. There's a lot of people doing a lot of stuff, and but yeah, it's a fun. I mean, there's nothing. It's really hard to put into words the experience of kind of just submerging yourself in a crystal clear river, surrounded by gar or fish in there, and kind of just listening to there's just no sound really around you, and you're diving down there, and it's an amazing experience. Occasionally I'd hear Wyatt's GoPro go like beep, beep, beep in the water.
yeah, that was audible as hell. I could hear that from like anywhere in the river.
Yeah.
It's crazy how well that carried underwater. Like you were probably 100 yards away from me somewhere else in the river. And there was a period where I felt like every couple seconds, beep, 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 beep.
Well, I was getting, man, it was that. I want to carry on that. It was crazy how silent it was underwater. I mean, like, it was really quiet, and that was only broken every once in a while by like muffled sounds of excitement underwater with people going after cooters or musk turtles. But it was like dead silent compared to the kicking and splashing and Trish shouting above the water. It was insane.
Yeah, it's not bad or whatever. It was just, I could hear it, so I'd be like, for a second I was trying to figure out what it was, and then I realized it was just the GoPros going. But yeah,
I had been using mine, so it made the same sound, and I kept looking down, like, is my GoPro taking videos without? And then I'm like, oh no, it's probably Wyatt's.
Funny story. Apparently my GoPro was on for 33 minutes recording, which is why I was really confused as to why the battery was going down so quick by the end of the snorkel. And I went through my videos when I got home. There was a 33-second long video, and that also encapsulates the moment where I'm getting yelled at by Trish for apparently going out of bounds to catch a cooter, and it has all that on video.
I have about a 15-minute video of the inside of my wetsuit because that's where I was putting my GoPro, and I accidentally kept it recording.
Yeah, I barely used mine this time, but when you're moving, like I've snorkeled that river like on my own, like with a couple other people and a couple of the members separately. It's different. It's completely different than when you're on a survey and you need to catch these turtles, and there's a purpose for it. Like and there's a method, and there's like a set pace you have to follow, and like it's not like, oh, you're just going down the river by yourself observing things. It's like, no, you see a turtle, you got to catch it pretty quickly, get it in the boat, and keep looking for more, so that to maximize how many you actually collect, so they get a decent sample size. But if you're in there by yourself, that's a better time to take slower videos, and especially since less silt will be kicked up, you can just, I don't know, go down the river, and that's what we did. We filmed and just peeked around more and got to see some behaviors of the turtles. And one of my favorite things is when you're just going along and you come across a pair of cooters, and they're like, it's always a male and female really close by, and the male's right on top of the female, like hovering nearby. He's going all up in her face, titillating and doing behaviors like that, and he's always nearby too. Like, and it's funny. They're like couples. You see them every once in a while throughout the river. Oh, I get the perfect.
I did that to Wyatt in the water.
Yeah, Michael and I were titillating each other in the spring.
That's the best word, titillating.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds dirty. Like
Rolls off the
But it's
tongue
not-
quite well.
Yeah, this is what the sliders they do that, but Peter Pritchard in Tales from the Tebaid, I think it was. It also this might have been mentioned in your grandpa's slider book too, but they use a very forget the term, but it's a German term for like elaborate courtship display, like Liebesspiel or something, and they describe this process like almost too eloquently for turtles. But I just thought that but it's pretty interesting. And the sliders do this when they're in courtship.
Yeah,
but,
I saw some sliders titillating earlier today.
yeah, you don't. Oh, it was that out. You got one. You found one today, right?
Yeah. When I went to release it, there was a male and a female in the water. And the male was titillating up in the female's face.
One thing's actually kind of random is I actually saw spotted turtles today. I was doing an internship with the local state parks as part of it's part of like my senior release at high school. So when I would normally be in school, I'm helping learning things that like people that I don't know what you would call like rangers or employees at the state park do, or like management of the ecosystem there, removing invasive plants, cleaning up trash cans, or things like that. So. I mean, a while back we walked up a population of spotted turtles, and I just check on it whenever I get the opportunity. Today was warm; it was like 60 degrees or something like that. It was pretty nice, but it was really wet and it was rainy. So I'm like, oh, they won't be basking, but they'll be out and active, and that would be really cool to see. So I went and I got to observe a couple pairs mating and several other individuals moving around and just going about their business. That was really interesting to watch. But I have the really crappy phone camera and nothing else to really record with, so I just didn't even bother trying to take pictures or videos.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that population in action. I went out there a few times and I haven't had luck yet, but that's just because I haven't had time to go out with good weather.
Parker, what
What
did
are
you
like
been-
these specific ecological or populational questions that this study is trying to address?
Yeah, that's a good question. So
the Santa Fe project?
Yeah,
there's
that's
like
right.
several things they're trying to. The data that is actually collected has so many implications, but like, I mean, as Dr. Johnston always says, and it's the turtles are the overall like the change in population trends and structure that they're detecting over time is a good indicator of the health of the river at large, not just the turtle populations, but the turtles can essentially be like a vector for that information. It's a way to look at the entire health of the ecosystem itself. Like they can watch how the populations respond to changes in the ecosystem, like big storms or when something happens to one of the springs, like all that. They're recording all this data constantly, so they can see like minute changes in it, and they can see changes over like a decade. So that's and they've also there's been research published on individual species in there too, just data about them and just overall natural history. Like there was a publication on the Calidra of that drainage and a lot of interesting information in there about how I don't know, you'd have to read it, but they're in fairly low density in the river itself, and they're morphologically slightly distinct. They're almost more similar to the northern Calidra in their size and their appearance. So a lot of interesting implications from the research from there. I think Michael could expand on that too.
Yeah, they seem to use the springs as a nursery. I think if I
Calidra do,
read that
yeah.
one right. Yeah.
Potentially some of the other turtles as well, but I haven't read anything about that. I've just read the Calidra paper.
Yeah, I mean I think that's well said. And some of the people, we kind of just want to talk about our experience helping out with the project. But we're going to hopefully have some of the leads of this particular project. Hopefully we get Dr. Johnston. He's pretty busy, but some of the other Jeremy and Meg and some of the other kind of spokespeople for this project to come on and talk about that a bit more. But yeah, I think that the main kind of goals are looking at, as Dak said, kind of population ecology over time. Also morphometrics, so looking at different measurements of each of the turtles and tracking that over time. And those are kind of the main things. And then, the fun part is working in a system over time like this, you notice these small little minute things, like the shape of certain things that could differ based on the sex of the animal, or even leeches and how the leeches are kind of working in there. One of the cool things that came out of this project is they have the first report of autoherutinophagy, is where a mud turtle ate a leech off of its back. And so that was kind of an interesting report, but just little things like that. But I think the main goal is just, using them as sort of a metric to gauge kind of ecosystem health. But again, that's kind of the goal, but we'll have some people to talk about that.
Yeah, I just want to preface anything we say. We're not direct. We're not, we'd want to have someone on here like you said, Meg or Jeremy or Dr. Johnston himself, who is really one of the spokes for people, or the actual like people who run the project and actually have been doing this for a long time. So they're the ones that really would be able to tell you more about the purpose of it and everything. But they've also collected several records, like just size records. Like they caught back in 2015, the annual survey, they found a yellow-bellied slider that was massive. The carapace length was over 13.5 inches. And I don't remember the weight, but it was bigger than a lot of the cooters in there. Like there's pictures of that thing too. It's ridiculous. Like that's a whole magnitude bigger than anything I've ever seen for a slider. So they keep getting weird records like that, and just record. Though that's not as much, I don't know, importance to that, but you only really detect those things if you're intensely surveying in a single area for routinely.
Yeah, those are all interesting things they could expand upon. But yeah, no, I mean that it's a fun time for sure. But then, it's fun stuff. I guess like something I've been up to is, I like to do the field things, but I also, sometimes I don't. I enjoy the final product. I like doing things with computers and modeling and stuff like that. And so I've taken some of the other, a lot of the groups, the North American Freshwater Turtle Research Group does a lot of work all across Florida at a bunch of different springs. And so I'm working with some of the data sets there. I'm not going to say too much about this because this is stuff that's to be kind of published and forthcoming, but it's fun to go through there and you get 5,000 turtle kind of observations over time in a data set. And then through tweaking and playing with it for hours and messing up like at least 200 times, you get a final product that's like one number that tells you how big the population was or something like that. That it's fun to do in the end, but that's kind of the goal here. But the survey itself is it's undeniably the most kind of intensive and immediately kind of fun parts. You get everything. I mean, this thing, we had everything from lumberjacks to floating down.
I forgot about the freaking lumberjacks.
That was hilarious.
That was funny. But yeah, we had a tree fall on the way there. I think Parker, your group was probably out of the water by the time we got in because we spent about 45 minutes clearing out a tree that had blocked the path.
Oh, that makes sense why we were waiting so long for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were super duper behind schedule.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
we just kept one thing after another. Like I remember we showed up, they got through the talks and everything, which I made a comparison. It's kind of funny, but it's like if you've ever seen Independence Day, like right before they go and fight all the aliens, it's like the turtle version of that. I don't know. Like, so right after we're done with that, we get the van broke down, like the transport van. So I think then we get out there to help and we drive like another couple feet. And then there's a fallen tree in the trail that must have fallen overnight. And it's way too big to move. Like they had to get guys to come out and clear it. And I don't know how they did this so fast, but they just like the main park ranger called him up on his phone. And next thing you know, all the lumberjacks just spawned in. The most redneck smell of testosterone. The dude was like walking around.
Did they have a big beard and a flannel shirt?
Huge beard.
Yeah, that's exactly what he looked like.
He looks exactly like that. I mean, honestly, probably had the polarized glasses too.
He was ginger too, which made
He
it
never
even
said
better.
a word. He just came and cleared all the trees and just despawned.
He was I think he was a park ranger. He was a master with that chainsaw. I mean, we cleared that thing out in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I mean, that was impressive.
He had
But
the wraparound polarized sunglasses on his
Yep.
hat.
Yep, everything. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was kind of a little bit annoying just because we had to wait, but that van's fun to work with for sure. Because I mean, we were finishing up. Everyone was there for this. We were finishing up Dr. Johnston's given the spiel on the fact that we broke the number of turtles record. And like perfectly on cue, he's finishing up. Everyone's excited, and you hear the van. Yeah, it sounds like a tire just blew out and it fell into a hole like an old tree stump, but then it just caved in. And we all lined up there and had to push that out. That was funny.
That was so like well timed too, because he had just finished telling us the numbers. We were all excited. It was such like an inspirational moment. You see him come along, it's just
Yeah.
I
and
saw
it's
Sam,
like-
Sam, the park ranger, in there, and I saw him. I'm like, he looks like he's like he was moving that van around a little bit quicker and with less caution than I thought at first. Like he was just, I'll just park it here, and I didn't see it. There's a bit that was like, it was a deep hole too. Like I'm surprised we managed to get the van out of that, but I mean,
Yeah, we
it was
pushed it out pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it and I thought there was going to be damage to the vehicle, like because from the back it was like jacked off the ground on its side, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look good.
we were all so ready to go home, and we're just like, he comes around that corner like our last salvation, just.
Yeah, it was funny because I was looking at Parker, and Parker's like already walking over there because he wanted to go find coral snakes or something. And I see him, and I saw you hear the van, and you look back.
My face just dropped.
Yeah. I thought that was funny. That was maybe one of the well, I mean, it wasn't good, but it was a highlight of the trip for sure. Because I was like, oh god, his soul just got crushed. But luckily,
definitely a memory.
Yeah, we fixed it pretty quick there. But yeah, I mean that was kind of the whole survey. That was fun. I mean, so we've talked about what we were doing there, but Ken and Jason, what have you guys been up to? I'm curious to hear more about this.
So today, like actually before this, I finally got to do a bit of herping. I've been stuck inside school, work and whatnot, but I actually skipped a anthropology stats course to go look for salamanders with a kid around here who does some into the herping. He's the zoo major. Isaac, you showed me some spots, and we turned up a redback salamander and a spotted salamander. So it's pretty neat. I've only ever seen one other spotted salamander, but that's just because I don't primarily target salamanders or really any sort of caudate. So that was exciting. It was a nice, much needed break from everything, life related, I guess.
Life related or life related? Wait,
life
sorry,
related. I'm sorry if I'm not speaking clearly. My bad.
I know. Sorry, Ken, I cut you off.
That's fine. Just as for me, I've been finalizing my paper on the sexual dimorphism of red salamanders and their heads. Interesting mixed results. Maybe we could talk about it some other day, but it's not published yet, so maybe. Essentially, we believe that males have bigger heads, and that might be the case, but we haven't proved it yet.
Yeah, Ken and I were in Georgia about a month ago, and he was grinding that workout while I was stressing about interviews. But that's cool stuff. Well, Jason, though, you got something else to tell us. I don't know if you want to release this publicly. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess we can throw it out there. Still kind of in the works of finalizing the details and dates. But a couple weeks ago, I had an interview for the internship at the Turtle Survival Alliance's Turtle Survival Center. So it's a colonian husbandry based internship. And just yesterday, I got offered and accepted the position. So I've got to get the dates finalized, but I'll be down there this summer. Hopefully, just getting some interesting and cool experience. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Nice. In South Carolina, right?
Yeah. I think it's
cool.
Cross. So it's a bit away from Charleston. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 30 minutes from me.
Right
Let me
on.
know when you're in the area.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So-
we did this summer. We went there with I think we made the trip from Parker's house. That was a fun time. You're gonna love that place. The boys
Yeah,
can
like-
speak.
Yeah, you're gonna love it down there. And that place is gonna be fun to work with and work at. So you're going to see a lot of awesome animals, and you're going to gain a lot of great experience with. So
definitely be nice. Like a lot of I guess at this point, my only professional animal experience is with laboratory rats and mice. So, I work a part-time job in the psychology department of the university I go to. So I spend my weekends and, I think I'm in there like 4 or 5 days a week, cleaning and prepping rat and mouse cages and stuff. So it'll be a nice sort of switch, a nice sort of break from that, do a bit of turtle related stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
What have y'all been up to, everyone else? I mean, just in terms of like, we talked about the survey, but it's kind of interesting to hear what everyone's like. What's the big thing you're looking forward to in the next few weeks or months that you've been working on it?
For me, I just confirmed, like I put the down payment on the trip and everything, that with a group with the New York Turtle and Tortoise Society, I will be going to the Galapagos from August 6th to 21st. So that's going to be a really fun, really great experience. Part of the trip is in mainland Ecuador, and then most of it is in the Galapagos. So there is a few extra things I didn't think I'd be able to see that are thrown in there. And for the budget I had, it works great. So I'm excited for that. And I've had the money for that, which I got as a gift from my grandfather. And I've had that money for like 2.5 years now because I couldn't do anything with it really over COVID. And I was trying to make sure I really did the best with it, and starting to just develop some anxiety with it. So it's really good that I finally got that out of I got that planned, and now that it's going to happen, there's a lot of excitement for it. And yeah, it's not really going to hit me till I'm like there or going there. So
You're going to get to see the paramo I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but the Andean, like mid-elevation habitat, that stuff's cool. It's not big tortoises, but it's cool ecosystem.
When we go on Isabella, I'm glad the Isabella research, like the Isabella tortoise breeding facility was in there. Seeing most of the tortoises in the wild isn't very feasible unless you're with the park or you have some sort of project or research like going on there. But there is a variety of Galapagos tortoise that they breed at the research station on Isabella that has this distinctive morphology. They have these really flat shells. Like it's ludicrously flat. Like if you ever get to see a picture of one, it looks out of place. And then it's almost kind of opened up in the front, somewhat kind of like saddlebacked, but since it's so compressed, it's not like the actual height to the nuchal is not very high. But yeah, I can't wait to see those tortoises because they have a group of them that was salvaged from, I think, the side of Cerro Azul. I don't remember specifically where they found them in like the 90s. They were saved from a lava flow, and they've been really highly reproductive. They've produced hundreds of offspring. It's a group of 20 adults, and they're all like from the dawn of time. They're ancient individuals. So getting to see those was something that was on my list. It's like I've seen the captive ones in zoos. They're mostly porteri or like a couple others thrown in, but they're almost all the giant like domed morphotype. I haven't really gotten to see anything unique. So that's something that's on the top of my list.
That's gonna be fun stuff. How about you, Parker? What are you looking for? What are you looking forward to in the next few months?
Well, in January, I just got hired by a preserve to do a herp survey, and it started as an overall assessment of all the herps on the property. It's a 1,000-acre property on a gorgeous cypress swamp, but we found this very healthy population of spotted turtles. So we're doing a little bit of a miniature spotted turtle study within this, getting DNA from each one, marking, and that's fun. So I've been doing that, and we'll continue doing that for the next year. So, yeah.
Awesome stuff. That's some cool work. You don't hear much about spotted turtles that aren't in the Northeast, so that's gonna be some cool stuff.
It's cool to find a healthy population down in South Carolina. Before I started working here, I'd only ever seen 2, and in the past 2 months, we've seen 13 individuals.
That's awesome. Even if you live in the Northeast, you can still be like, in lots of areas in the South, I don't think it's not that they're less common. They're just, and I mean, in some areas they are, but they're less, unless you're actively looking for them and you know the right spots, they're very hard to find. Like, they only occur in certain habitats and they're not always in high density. You might not always find a lot of them. They're fairly cryptic. So I've lived within their range in the Northeast for my whole life. And only in the past couple of years have I actually started seeing them. And only like a month ago did I actually find a reliable site with a healthy population. So I only know 2 sites in general, and I've searched my whole life for them and just don't know where else to find them. You can walk right by, like you can live right near a site where there's a good population. You just won't know. They're very hard to detect, like with that, and they're so localized to each population. Like,
How about you, Wyatt? What are you? Well, I got to say this first. While these 2 guys over here on the right side of my screen went off and found a musk turtle in the middle of the night, me and Wyatt we went out. We made the right decision. We went out and went back to the hotel to rest a little bit. On the way back, Wyatt's telling me, Wyatt, you've got a ton of stuff going on. You got to tell us a little bit more about that, because you got some busy stuff coming up.
Oh, well, I mean, none of it's really set in stone yet. I'm about to graduate and I'm going to take a gap year. Hopefully I'll be able to travel overseas to India is what I really want to do. But depending on how COVID is, I'm not sure how that's going to work out. What else did I mention?
I don't know. It's not like, I don't know. I didn't realize you were into movies and you were talking all that stuff.
Okay, yeah. So I forgot that we weren't just talking herps. I'm starting up a movie podcast soon, and it should be up within the next couple of weeks for me and my friend. I'm a huge cinephile, and that's like something I really talked a lot to Pete and Jeremy about, like while at the processing site. I had like a multi-hour long conversation with Jeremy about Wes Anderson's filmography, but I'm a huge film nerd, so I'm starting up a film and art podcast. I've got some art stuff that I do. I'm going to be making some prints of the art that I do. I make a lot of abstract, surrealist art, so that'll be fun. And hopefully I'm going to be able to put it up for exhibition and at a shop near the boardwalk that I live at. None of it's for sale, because I don't think I'd want to sell any of it, but I just want to put it up there for feedback. But aside from all that, I just have some, hopefully, herping, depending on how the weather turns out, and planning for our next big trip with you and Jack, and some taxidermy. I have to wet preserve. I have to pickle a mata mata and a Burmese black mountain tortoise.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's some cool stuff.
Dude,
I got it.
I'm gonna have to buy my own chest freezer soon because I have somewhere, I don't know, probably like 150 plus turtles in the freezer and just other stuff like that. Those I all got from a friend. So those are like, some of them are originally in Bill McCord's collection. So there's like Dogania in there, which is the Malayan soft shell turtle for those who don't know. But there's all kinds of stuff like that in there I need to get to. So I'm probably not going to be able to clean that for years because I have to. I mean, going through college and everything, I don't know when I'm going to set up a beetle colony, which you have to get conditions just right for that to work. And especially when you're trying to get specific small bones and things or preserve whole skeletons of smaller animals, it's difficult. But for something I'm just trying to get the shell up or just getting the skull, I have a station in my backyard with several interesting things cooking in it right now. So
the desiccation station.
Yeah, well, it's got flies and you can smell it from like a 50-foot radius. I'm lucky my parents didn't use that. But yeah, just prepping for college and the summer and everything. I mean, there's opportunities I might have in the summer, but I don't know if it's set in stone yet, so I'm not really going to mention it. But
we got a crazy amount of stuff going on between this group. Jason's going to the TSC. Ken's got salamander work that he's about to publish. Jack's going to the Galapagos. Parker's working on it with spotted turtles out there. Wyatt's doing all this everywhere. Herping, traveling, all this. This is crazy. I mean, I guess I like what's going on here. Kind of the same deal. I'm just trying to. Jack and I are potentially going to go down to the. We're going to see what's going on there, but we might try to get some. I'm going to try to get some money, maybe a job over the summer, that kind of thing. Got to get a little cash before college. But in terms of like stuff that's coming up kind of soon, that pond turtle research I did for like the past 2 years, looking at interspecies, like basking kind of dynamics between pond turtles and sliders in Southern California. We're in the process. This is a fun process for sure, trying to get this submitted and tightened up. So we're just kind of iterating, passing back and forth a draft, me and the person I worked with in the Natural History Museum here. Hopefully going to submit this we're going to submit it to a few journals and see where, I guess one by one, see where it gets accepted, that kind of thing. And then I'm also kind of working on, just finishing up senior year here, working on all those a few data sets from the Florida Spring systems, a lot of Excel and R. It's definitely different. I haven't had too much time to herp just because I've been doing all that, but beyond that, just college. At this point, I'm thinking either UGA or University of Florida. Those are kind of the two, just because it's where I want to be, and I'm not in a rush. I mean, grad school, I'd like to go on to grad school. Hopefully, Stanford is kind of my goal for grad school, so we'll see. That's kind of a lengthy goal for anybody, but we'll see what I can do there. But for undergrad, that's a place I want to be at. Great programs, but that's kind of what's going on here. This is solid though. I don't know if we want to do some of that trivia. Maybe we want to pull some out or some last thoughts. I don't know what everyone's thinking.
Let's make it fairly quick because I don't have a lot of time here. But
I just wanted to I meant to say this earlier, but I kind of got caught up in my words. I didn't want to take too much time to go into it. Just wanted to share that I had this really profound moment while I was sitting at the bank with the while we were letting the cooters go after they were being processed. I just really I don't know. It was such a good experience for me, and it made me. And I really just. I mean, I already knew that I wanted to do this for the rest of my life, but that's like when it really just hit me, like that working with turtles specifically is just what I want to do with the rest of my life forever. But
right on.
Yeah, that's a great moment. I had a similar moment when I released the alligator snapping turtle the first time. They for whatever reason they gave into my wishes and they let me release the 82-pound male that we caught that time. So I got to, I know I was all over that turtle the whole time. So
it's like,
they let me take him out. And I just remember watching him climb up going upstream in about 2 feet of crystal clear water and just the old growth cypress trees. I'm just looking at the background. I'm like, this is just awesome. Like,
it's like such a surreal moment. Like you kind of take a break from the autopilot that your life goes on, and you just kind of realize that you're just there in that moment. That's kind of how you want to live for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
that's a good way to end this discussion because we got some stuff to do. But so if we got, I don't know, let's go for like 10 minutes if that's good, but let's just do this. We got to do this. I got a message yesterday that people are liking this trivia section, so we can't let up here. Who
said
that? Pearson McGovern. He's a UGA alum, and he's now at the African Colonian Institute. He got a lot of cool stuff that he's, I want to get him on here at some point. It'd be fun to get him and the person who Thomas Diagne, who I probably butchered the name there, but he runs the African Colonian Institute. It'd be fun to get. We'll get them on at some point. We'll get him on.
He might actually be willing to come on here. That would be cool.
For sure. Let's get to this trivia though. So I don't know how we're gonna do this though, with 6 people. Maybe we do teams, like teams of 3 here. I don't know how we're gonna separate this. Maybe we could do. How do we want to do this? What makes the most sense?
3 teams of 2.
All right, we could do teams of 2, I guess. We could just go rapid fire. So, okay, I think that we know how to do this. We got 2 minutes to come up with questions. Let's do 3 questions each if we do teams of 2.
So we come up with the question?
Yeah, so it has to be turtle related. But it can be really obscure kind of stuff because the goal here is not to win because we're not really keeping points. It's just to bring up random points that never get brought up in discussion, kind of. But how are we going to do this? Let's just someone else pick. I feel like anyway we
Are we
do
gonna
this-
do? Should we be? I'm assuming while everyone's gonna come up. Each of these groups is gonna come up with 3 questions. So we should all communicate through text or something. Like whoever your I guess it's gonna be it's gonna be partners. So whoever is with someone, you guys should communicate back and forth, like through text or something. Just send each other. Just like
Can you private message on here? Can
What?
you do like a private chat?
No, I mean you do it on your phone or something, an unrelated device.
Well, yeah, but can you do it on here? That would make it a lot easier.
I don't know. Have we tried that? Or would that work?
It looks like there's a private chat, but I'm not sure if it like goes to everyone on here or
Did everybody see
you
that?
can like specific like.
I
Oh
only
yeah,
saw
yeah.
that. Okay, I guess everybody.
All right, we got to get these teams figured out. We should have done this earlier, but I guess that's part of the struggle. I'm just gonna throw this out here because we got to figure it out somehow. I'm not really like trying to balance anything. I would just say this is gonna be everyone's gonna call. How about me and Parker, Jack, Wyatt, Ken, and Jason, or do we want to switch that up?
That's
Let's
fine.
just
You're the
go with
smartest
that.
one, so I want
Let's,
you on my
yeah.
team.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Let's
Is that
go.
All right.
well? We
All
should
right,
do it. I
Wyatt,
don't-
you and
I
I'll
feel
just
bad.
text. So we just got.
All right, we're good. We're good.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
we're gonna win this.
All
Wait,
right.
so and Michael, so we're texting, right?
Yeah, one sec. I got to get our music going here. The 2 minutes hasn't started yet, though. We got 3 questions. I'm about to. Trust me, I'm not thinking of anything here. I got to get this music going. What are we doing? Chill. Let's do that. Let's see how that works. All right, there we go. All right, I'll start our 2-minute timer here in 3, 2, and 1. Okay. All right. Okay, so Parker, everyone's gonna do 3 questions. Just come up with something related to turtles, and then we'll text them to each other, and then we'll read them off.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. We gotta. Oh yeah. That's a good question.
Who slept?
Wyatt.
Uh-oh. I'll pull him back on.
He was on his phone, so he probably disconnected while trying to text Jack.
Parker, you want to count one more question here?
I can try.
Do you have some questions for us, Ken?
Yeah, I'm coming up with one.
Okay. Do you want to do 2 or?
Can you do 2? I'm kind of tired today.
Yeah, I guess I could.
It's a hard time thinking of something.
All right, we're good on time. Okay. All right, I'll
Hold up.
turn this music off here. So everyone good here?
Yeah. Just
Not
about.
Wyatt, apparently.
Well, I'm trying to communicate with him. He's in the. Hold up. I got one question, but I'm busy trying to get Wyatt back on here. Let's see. I'm trying to think of a couple more questions.
All right, we'll give you another 30 seconds. We'll fill this dead air with some conversation.
Yeah. Get that going.
I don't even know. I'm trying to here. Wait,
Okay, I got one for. I'll throw an easy one in
there
there.
he is. Oh, he's gonna throw.
Is that hello? Am I here?
You were there.
Okay.
Before-
cool. I had a bit of a connection issue pop up. It doesn't like me using Instagram and this at the same time. So
I like the question,
Okay.
Ken.
Before any questions are asked, how are we doing the answering? Is it just first one to get it, or are we gonna? What do you think? Like just shout it out?
Yeah, we could. I mean, just kind of like speed round it, I guess.
Okay.
If that works.
I
for
guess
everyone.
we're not really keeping score or anything, so it's
And there
just
goes Wyatt.
I wish we had like a button or like some sort of buzzer, you know, that would at least
Yeah.
add a bit of structure to it.
yeah.
All right,
Can we
I
use
can
the
question.
chat in any way? Like maybe first one to type it in the chat. I don't know.
Maybe because then like you won't have people like screaming over each
Speaking
other.
Over each other, yeah.
So it's going to be like the two that are working together. How is everybody else going to do it though? Like, are we going to do? We ask two people at a time, but that's not fair because then if they get it right, or we could alternate. You can ask. Oh no, that doesn't make sense either. I just throw it to the room and whoever gets it first. Let's do it like
Yeah.
that.
Can you answer your own teammate's question?
No.
If you didn't ask it, like if it's their question, no? You have to do it with other
Well,
people.
you shouldn't answer your own teammates' questions because
Okay.
theoretically you came up with it with them, so you should so.
Yeah, that's fine. You'd have more time to think about it.
Is
All right,
Wyatt
ready
trying to
to
get back
go?
on?
Sorry, I got disabled there. Okay,
I'm having
wait.
tribal.
he's on. He's on. There he is. I got
There
I'm
you
back.
go.
Hello.
All right, he's there.
Wyatt's having tribal.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. Let's get it going. So we're not really keeping score. We just got teams of three questions. Whoever, if you know the answer, go ahead. All right. So who's gonna start us off? Who wants to go?
I'll start it off.
Here he goes.
All right.
All right. What state was the largest Trachomys scripta caught in?
Florida.
Georgia.
Oh,
no.
damn it. I was about to say that.
Well, let me say something
Yeah,
quick
we
about
just
that.
said that this episode.
Let me say that that is a good question because I think you might have thought some of the ones that from the Savannah River Ecology site, or I think those ones are big too. There's like 10 to 12 inch sliders in there, so they held the previous record until like 2015. But
Unless I'm mistaken, the largest yellow belly slider came from Sparrow Pond on Kiowa Island.
I was told about that one, but I was told the carapace was 12. It was 12 point something, but it wasn't even. I've never seen anything even close to that one. From it.
The guy who caught it's downstairs, so I could run down and ask him real quick.
You could if I'll have to pull up the data from the one from Michituckney, and if it's more than 13 and a half inches, you win. But
All right.
I pretty much don't think it is.
All right.
Okay.
He's got the next
Wait.
question here. Let's keep the ball rolling.
All right.
Yeah,
let's-
I guess do you want to everyone like when a group is up, they ask all of their questions.
all
Yeah,
their
yeah,
questions.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
that's
do it.
fair.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I can get the next question. Have fun with this. I'm not
Yeah, I
going
guess
easy this
anytime
time.
Michael says that, we all just got to prepare ourselves for.
Yeah. Okay.
Be
What
put to
are-
shame.
The three extinct families in Pancalidae. Clay.
Oh, Rip, I don't know this.
Now, there's one that I think that someone could get here, but this is kind of if we had Scott on, he'd probably be able to answer this. But there's one that someone could get. I'm sorry.
Oh, what?
Michael, how dare you?
Yeah, I did. I'm stumped. I don't have any clue.
Yeah, neither do I.
Okay, so the one that I thought I had a little hope for here was Bothrematidae, but then Iraxematidae and Arapematidae are two. These were Eugene Gaffney published a large, like hundreds of pages on this. That's like the one mention they have. So
When was that published? Was that recent, or is this like?
He's citing literature from the 1960s.
Yeah, he
No,
dug
no.
something up on.
Yeah, no.
During like you're surfing on like you're looking for information. You found that, and you're like, this is nobody's gonna
Write that down. Write that down.
Yeah, no. This was something along. The reason that I know this is because it's mentioned in Pritchard's Raphidus book in the size records, and I looked it up from there because he mentions this. So it is mentioned somewhere else. Now I remember.
Extinct
But-
Kelid, like from Pan. Is that what you're saying?
The Pankelidae.
From that greater group. All right, he mentioned
Yeah.
old.
Parker, you
extinct
got
trionychids
the
in there.
third.
All
Anyway,
right,
we're gonna move on.
last question. Parker, are you going?
I can ask it. It's your question though. I didn't come up with another one since you
You
sent
asked
it.
this one. This is only appropriate that you ask this.
All right. What are the holocrine glands on chicken turtles called?
Or exocrine glands. I think they're pretty interchangeable terms. Exocrine glands on chicken turtles. Or any
Mental
other.
glands? Are they?
Yeah,
those
there
mental
you go.
glands? Yeah.
Good job, Ken. You got it.
Yeah, Ken.
Nice.
Parker, I read that in your grandpa's book. Me and Michael were driving to UJ, and he let me read his book, and I read a section of mental glands.
Oh, cool.
Right on. So what group wants to go next? Maybe like Ken
I got
and
you.
run through ours real quick, or if you want to go, Jack, you could.
All right, so let me pull up the list of them real quick. We got.
This is going to get interesting, I think, Jack and Wyatt. They could.
I didn't come up with super difficult ones. All right. The first one.
Make me feel that.
Which box turtle has the most restricted range? And I'm talking terrapene, like North American box turtles.
Ornate. No.
I know the answer to this, but I don't know if it.
Well, then answer it, Michael.
Coahuilan box turtle.
Yep. From they're endemic to a single spring system. So, in Coahuila, Mexico. So there's probably only a few thousand of them left, and that's on the upper end of their population estimate. So,
All right, that's a good question.
All right, so I got one that's easy and one that like you'll only know if you've read the certain paper. So, all right,
So
fuck it,
only
let's
Michael will get
go
it.
with the hard one. So, I mean, Wyatt, do you want to read it or do you want me to?
I can't get on Instagram and it'll kick me off, so that's all you did.
Okay, so which survey site along the Swanee River had the highest CPUE for Macrochelys swaniensis by far? Like, what is the name of the site?
Manatee Spring.
No, don't answer yet. Okay.
Okay, never mind. I thought that's what it was. Somebody told me something.
I know the section. Are you're talking? I know that the
I'm
section
talking
is.
specific site. Which specific site has the highest CPUE?
Okay, I know what the it was the section 4 on the river, but wait, I'm trying to think of the name. I know what it is. I know what it is. This is where Jeremy hauls out sometimes.
Yeah, Jeremy knows this stuff. Like when you talk
yeah.
to him, he knows the specifics because he reads papers and he just memorizes the whole thing.
No, but he was talking about this at what the hell? Oh gosh, I know what it. What?
Pretty much most data pertaining to Macrochelys and especially in the Swanee drainage is just etched into my brain now. So
yes, it's a little island out there, right upstream of. Like right downstream of where it goes underground. What the hell?
No, I'm talking about the Swanee, not the Santa Fe, like the actual Swanee.
Right now, okay.
I'm not talking about Rum Island
Right.
on the
Okay.
Swanee,
Yeah.
on the Santa Fe. I'm talking
It's
about
section 4 of where they were trapping. I don't know the name. I don't know if anyone else knows the name.
All right. I guess I got everybody with that. It's Rock Bluff which is at the pretty much the healthiest part of the Swanee River where the CPU is insanely high. Like there's all their large males come from that site. Like most of them, they get some that are almost 130 pounds and a significant amount of them that are over 110 all come from that one site, and they'll get several in one night. So it's a very, very healthy site along the river. But
That was a good question.
all right, the last one's pretty easy. I think we all could get this because how many turtles were caught at the survey this weekend, and how many species were represented?
1,200.
Over 1,200.
Yeah.
And 5 species.
Yeah, I guess that works. Yeah, that works.
All right.
All right.
Cool. Last
All
one.
right.
So Ken, I could like do mine real quick, and then he's got a bit of a I don't know, a good one for the last question here. But to get going here, what's the genus and species name for the Indian spotted turtle?
Jason.
Oh wait, hold up. Were you asking me?
Anyone,
just
who's
answer
not
the question.
Ken.
Geoclemys hamiltoni.
Yeah, correct. The next one, what's the genus and species name for the Hecate?
Someone else want to take that? I got it, but I don't.
I got it too. Anyone else?
I do not know turtle Latin outside of the US.
I guess they're mad at me.
You say the genus? Yeah, there you go.
Yep,
All right.
yep, there you go. And then, Ken, do you want to give your last question to wrap
this is
this
going
up?
to be interesting.
Then you got to
prepare to be stumped.
You got to stump us.
I expect everybody to know this one. The Laurentide ice sheets were seeded about how many years ago and set the cascade for the genetic diversification of Chrysemys?
Okay, is it like Pleistocene end, or is it a more specific time?
Yeah.
I might not know that one.
I think
Plus,
I
yeah,
know
End
pretty
of the
much.
Pleistocene.
Plus,
20
14,000 years ago.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say 10,000. So
I was going to say 20,000.
I wouldn't have got that specifically. No.
The mean would have been around there.
Yeah, that's close enough.
That like wraps this up here.
All right, that's all good.
Good
All
stuff.
right, that was fun, boys. This was kind of spontaneous too, which was fun because we had someone lined up, but we're gonna have them down the line. We're booked for like the next 2 months, so that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I know. We got to get at some point, probably farther down the line, it would be easier to get maybe sometime in the summer. There's like a 2-week window when Dr. Johnson has a second to breathe, so that would probably be like a time we might go to get him on here. But or even Meg or Jeremy would be awesome. Like they could talk all about the project and really get into details.
I'm talking to him about it right now, so we're working on it. But we got some fun people coming up. Everyone from Scott Thompson's hopefully going to be on here in a while. And we got some toad-headed turtle people coming on and more Macker Kellys, a lot of things. But yeah, thanks for joining in. Hopefully we can – Wyatt and Parker are like CheloniaCast family members, so they can they'll hopefully be on for other things.
They're welcome at any time. Just
yeah, exactly.
I would love to come back. This was a lot of fun.
Glad having you on here.
All right. Well,
thanks for letting us come on.
Thank you so much.
We're at 45 days. I think we're at about 150 listening hours. So thank you everyone that's listening in, and please let us know if you've got any feedback. We really appreciate that because we're starting out. We want to produce the best quality stuff for you. So, all right. See you guys. Good to see everyone.
See ya.
See you guys.
Oh, I got to figure out how to end this. Wait, I got it. There we go.